Welcome to Channing Unitarian Universalist Church. We're glad that you joined us here today. Wherever you are, whatever your theological, spiritual, political, sexual, or racial orientation, or gender identity, you are welcome to worship here with us. Before we get into announcements, continuing our observances of various religious practices throughout the calendar this week. So LGBT History Month continues this week, as does Hispanic Heritage Month. And then this Wednesday is Yom Kippur, which is considered the highest of Jewish holidays. It's a day of atonement and fasting. So be aware if you have any observing Jewish friends, they might be a little tired that day. Do we have any announcements this morning? Julie?
Saturday is the coffee house with the Jethros, finally. If anybody is interested in baking anything, you can drop them off uncut on Saturday, and we'll cut them and plate them or if anybody's interested in working the event, even if it's just for an hour, we're happy to have as many volunteers as we can get.
Any other announcements? Jude?
Upcoming, the end of the month, day of the dead service. It is my intention to host a extended coffee hour after the service till about 3:30 in the afternoon. And invitations will be issued. Better district to join us for a cluster Halloween. Details all.
Maggie, do you have an announcement?
I have one more.
I'm here.
Tuesday's craft night. Craft night returns this Tuesday. It'll be the first Tuesday of every month until we close for the summer.
And for anyone who's ever been to craft night, bring whatever you're working on, whatever you've always wanted to work on. This will be a place to do it. All right, and with that, I would like to pulpit our creative session of minister. That was minister. Reverend
Good morning. Wonderful to be back here again. I look forward to this. I really do. I'd like to open with that famous writer, Anonymous, but it reflects all that I want to give as a message today. And this will be our challenge. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other.
Please rise as you're willing and able. Join me in the lighting of our chalice by reciting the words found in our order of service. Kindling this flame of our common heritage
In our chalice of
community. Let us
open to the presence of the Savior.
And now the affirmation, please.
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus to be covenant with each other and with God.
The opening hymn this morning is hymn number 323, Great Mountain Circle.
So
we invite you to walk around and greet your neighbors. These are the people we go to church with, even if you see them every day.
Very cool.
No, I'm personally to you.
I'll come out and say hi.
Big square. Really good.
Ooh, cool. Hey.
Coffee shop. Some people say, hi. Good morning. Peace be with you.
Excuse me. Trying to get up there.
Oh, yeah.
Hi to the people at home.
Maybe next week.
I just moved in.
Hello.
All right, you got all the mic, Dan. This is going to be one of those moments. Julie, I'm going to ask you to take your kids over to the other side.
Okay. Well, I can certainly take one over. Where are we going?
Sit on the other side. And open your hymn book to hymn 368. And this is for Susan, our RE director, who is recovering from COVID. Hi, Susan. She's with us online this morning. Oh, yes. 368. This she wants us to learn this hymn because it's something she wants to do with the kids. And so the way I teach a new hymn is even though it's familiar to lots of you, but it's a call and response hymn. So we're going to do it by speaking it. And when we do it, I'm actually going to have you stand and turn and face each other. But right now, Maddie, would you just play a melody? Now, this, if you look at the hymn, there's some notes on the bottom. Now let us sing. It's a call and response. So some people sing, now let us sing. And some other people, yes, you are, sing to the power of the faith within. So let's just say it right now. Let us sing. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the faith within. God, do you sound? There's no sound. I need you to holler this out for me because I'm deaf as a post. So let's try that. Let's try that first line again. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of faith within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of faith within. Lift up your voice. Lift up your voice. Do that one again. Lift up your voice. Lift up your voice. You're fading on me. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Everybody together. Sing to the power of the faith within. Do that one more time. Sing to the power of the faith within. And now I'd like you to stand up and I'd like you to look at each other because you are talking, this is a conversation, we probably won't say this. All right, so we're gonna start, and I'll jump from side to side. So we start with the Beatles. Now let us sing, sing to the power of faith within. Now let us sing, sing to the power of faith within. Lift up your voice, lift up your voice, soaring. Be not afraid, be not afraid. All together, sing to the power of faith within. Well done, Susan. I hope that met your standards. Thank you very much for helping us. And now, even though there's two wonderful kids here, I have a story for children of all ages because it totally fits my sermon today. Do you have a I do not have a.
It is on.
It is on, but it's not good. So I want to come up and have a but would you pull something bright and colorful out of that? Hold it way up. Show everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, I had that. Okay. It's an orange. Okay. The story goes, there was a brother and a sister. Maybe it was two sisters. I think it was two sisters. There was two little sisters, and we probably know their names. But they came down to breakfast one morning, and they were really hungry. And what was sitting on the kitchen table?
An orange.
Thank you. And so they both made a dive for it. And the older one grabbed it first because she's older and faster. And the little one screamed, I want it. You are a stinking sister. And the older one with the orange said, no, I want it. And what does any good mother say? We'll cut it in half and you can each have half. No, screeched one of them. I want the whole orange. I have to have the whole orange. No, screeched the other one. I have to have the whole orange. I want the whole orange. Mother invited them both to a quiet, thoughtful time in separate parts of the house. And then she thought about it. And her sister came, Auntie Wonderful. Auntie Wonderful came to the house and she said, and she said, oh, the kids are fighting over the orange. They both want the whole thing. That's not how I raised them. And so Auntie Wonderful calls the kids downstairs and she said, so what about the orange? And they both said, I have to have the whole thing. And Auntie said something. She said, why do you have to have the whole thing? Why do you have to have the whole thing? And the older one, whose name is Problem, said, I need the whole thing for something we're going to do in school. I have to have the whole peel to make something we're going to make. Well, said Auntie Wonderful. And what about you, little one? Well, I'm just really hungry. I want the whole orange. Oh, said Auntie Wonderful. And Mommy said, oh, I think we can do this. And they did. And the moral of this story is all you have to do is ask. Don't make up your mind for somebody else and call them a stinker or a ratty person or a beautiful child. Sometimes it's hard, but you know what they say about assumptions? They make an ass out of you and me. We're going to have our time of joys and concerns right now, and I'm going to give this to you, and you can put it back on 5 minutes time.
definitely a wonderful experience. At this time, share joys, concerns, with the congregation, so that we might help each other through good times and bad together.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'd like to light a candle for a great American, Judy Campbell, who was 98 yesterday. He was not the best president we've ever had, but he's a great American.
Ask anyone who has a home from Habitat for Humanity. He's still banging nails at 98 years old.
A handful of candles for our various church members who are sick today.
Yes. Maddie, you have the joy of starting with the sheriff. For being restrained in church.
The people in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes, thank you. And North Carolina. And Ukraine. The world. The world. My family.
To the good people of Russia trying to get the hell out of it.
They made me say. Pick it up.
You know, like one more for all the joys and concerns.
Wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
For your dad is having surgery tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We are going to enter a time of almost silence, when joyful noises may accompany, but I'd ask to carry our joys and concerns, spoken and unspoken, into a time of silent prayer, contemplation, reflection. This is your beloved community. We hear you even when we don't speak. I cannot tell your story. I can only tell you mine. I cannot know your mystery, and only mine in time. I cannot write your sonnet. I can only read my own. I cannot live your sorrow. I cannot stop your pain. I can only stand beside you and wait to hope again. I cannot quell your hidden fears. I can only face my own. I can never birth your child or find your answer or meet your call. I cannot weep your tears. But to stand in truth of knowing of who I am and why, to greet my inner pain as friend, to own my fear and cry. Then I can justly stand with you. I can hold your hand in mine. In honesty, I can share your thoughts, your mystery, your time. I cannot take your love, my friend. I can only give you mine. I cannot give you God, my friend. That truth is yours to find. This week, I haven't forgotten the offering. Now is the time to share our privilege with one another to continue the good works of this congregation.
Please stand as you are willing and able to join us in the dedication of the gifts of 403 in the great hymn, Spirit and Truth. So the reading for today as the lead into Reverend Judy's sermon comes from the January 2022 issue of the Atlantic, article, The Myth of Tribalism by Dominic Packer and J. Van Babel or Babel. I apologize. One of those is incorrect. This is an edited text, so I welcome you to look up the full article online. I'm not going to read the whole thing. By now, even people who differ on nearly all issues seem to agree on at least one thing. American politics has become riven by tribal conflict. When people use the term tribalism, they're usually aiming to capture a toxic dynamic in collective life, such as the one that characterizes much of contemporary American politics. The power of group norms has long been recognized in other domains. For example, young people's drug or alcohol use, or risky sexual behavior is heavily influenced by what they believe their peers do. Following the invasion and then defeat of ISIS in northern Iraq, the Christian and Muslim communities living there were left deeply divided. But they had something in common, a passion for soccer. In an extraordinary recent experiment, the political scientist Salma Musa recruited amateur Christian soccer teams to join a new league. She arranged for the teams to remain Christian, while the other half were joined by Muslim players. Playing together for a season with Muslim teammates made Christian players express more inclusive attitudes. Compared with those on homogenous teams, the Christians on religiously mixed teams were more prepared to train with Muslims in the future, vote for a Muslim player to win a prize, and sign up for a similar cross-religion experience on the next season. The benefits appear to be particularly pronounced for players on winning teams, of course. All of this contradicts commonly held notions about the tribal nature of group psychology. What many people call tribalism is tragically prevalent. What many people call tribalism is tragically prevalent. It is not inevitable. It's a function of group norms. But the constant evocation of tribalism may create a self-fulfilling prophecy. People come to distrust other groups and falsely believe they need to discriminate against outsiders or suppress dissenters to maintain their status within their own group. Understanding how group identities combine with norms to shape human behavior also empowers people, especially leaders, to focus more on cultivating healthy norms within their group. Rather than assuming that groups will slide into hostility and insularity, we humans can and should hold ourselves to higher standards.
By the way, God, we just made my day. Tribalism, inclusion, beloved community, and hypocrisy. When did the word tribalism become so prevalent? You gave us part of an answer to that this morning. When does beloved community circle the wagons and become the tribe? And where is the tipping point when our core values become so aligned with the values espoused by the tribe that we stop thinking for ourselves? Quoting the words that Rick read earlier, understanding how group identities combine with norms to shape human behavior also empowers people, especially leaders. It stands to reason to focus more on cultivating healthy norms within their group. In other words, the development of a strong group identity can be a positive and powerful force. Unitarian Universalism, for example, and its 7 principles of right relationship with the earth and one another, is part of our group identity. Almost all of us can say we are part of something. We belong to something, to many things really. Think about it. Think about all of your intersecting circles. church, family, maybe a social club, a band, a chorus, a sports team, the Friday night regulars at the local watering hole or coffee shop. Belonging feels good. Belonging is safe. Conversely, we know loneliness kills, and solitary confinement is a particularly cruel form of torture. The Amish practice of shunning is the worst punishment a group can impose on a member of the group who breaks the rules. Total isolation and shame. You are an outcast. Part of the devastation of COVID was the isolation. Belonging, needing to be connected, being part of something, needing to be part of something, bless you, is a good and very human thing to do. We humans are half animals. We are by nature community and tribally oriented. It's how we've survived over all these millions of years. But when does "these are my people and I am safe and happy here" turn into "these are my people and everything that is not my people is bad"? To everything that is not in my tribe or my pack is to be suspect or reviled, attacked, and maybe even eliminated. As I said earlier, the word tribalism is getting a lot of attention these days, most particularly in the political sense. More and more, it would appear that the importance of party unity and cohesion with the ongoing goal of re-election comes first, and anything else, like working for the good of the people, seems to be running a weak second on both sides of the aisle. At the same time, we know there is strength in numbers, and a burden shared is half as heavy as one carried alone. So beloved, religious community is good. Working together towards a common goal is good. But circling the wagons and putting up walls and making enemies out of fear, making enemies out of those outsiders in fear-driven self-protection is bad. No, it's not inherently bad. It's a community survival technique when humans feel threatened. It works. The question is, when and how and why does working together for the common good cross the line into my way or the highway? When does stereotyping and name-calling cross the line to death threats, assassination, and political coup? It would appear that the space between the two is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and the space for meaningful dialogue between two armed camps is fast disappearing. Now, long ago and far away on the island of Martha's Vineyard, I preached a sermon on hypocrisy. Yes, you heard me, hypocrisy. It was prompted by two events. One, that a couple of activist members had gotten out and lighted candles of concern, only to go off on a political rant against everything and everyone by name they thought was wrong with the country, the church, the island, and in general, anything driven by conservative thinking. Fear and condemnation of the other, whatever that other was. That same week, a different couple who were conservative and politically and theologically, and no, conservative is not a four-letter word, came to me in private to tell me they were beginning to feel uncomfortable and even unwelcome in the church they attended and supported all of their lives. They confessed in whispers they still like to hear the Lord's Prayer and the odd Bible verse. And despite the 7 principles, they still believed in practicing the golden rule. 7 principles are a reworking of the golden rule, but that's okay. When did it become a UU sin to be either Christian or Christian leading in your personal theology and or practicing political conservative? I asked myself. A couple complained that many within the congregation were making broad assumptions. Remember what I said about assumptions? About the mindset of everyone in the congregation. That consciously or unconsciously, these people were making an outcast outcast of anyone who dared voice anything other than what the majority of them thought to be their own personal gospel. Well, after any number of meetings and you know what church decision-making is like, we came to the understanding and eventually the policy that a church worship service was not a political or theological ranting station. My opening words the following Sunday were, in fact, a warning. Good morning, my friends, I said. It's only fair to warn you that some of you will not like what I'm about to say, and you still have time to leave. Of course, no one. Who would miss a chance to hear something controversial, offensive, maybe even juicy? Everyone stayed put, and I began to talk about UU hypocrisy. We UUs make a business of being inclusive, I said. It's in our blood, it's in our principles. This is supposed to be a place where everyone is welcome, where everyone is supported in their own personal theology, lifestyle, and quest for truth. This is what we signed up for and came looking for. Lots of that, and affirming and not. So I asked my good Martha's Vineyard folks if they would have any trouble welcoming my openly gay friend Andy. Remember, this was over 20 years ago, and not as many people were safely out back then in those dark ages. And rainbow flags outside of churches were few and far between. Would they accept it and welcome him, I asked? Well, of course they would, with open arms, not supposed to be one of us. We will love you for who you are and what you are. Lots more affirming head nods. And then I said, you welcome him so gladly, knowing he is the president of the South Shore chapter of the arch-conservative log cabin Republicans. The room went dead silent. I went on to say, if you can't welcome gay and arch-conservative in the same person, is that conditional acceptance? Is that setting standards? Gay, okay, gay, conservative, not so much. I had just crossed a very dangerous line, and I knew it. I'd gone behind the comfortable facade of liberal knee-jerk thinking and called them to personal account. Was their liberal thinking maybe not so inclusive after all? And maybe, just maybe, a little self-examination was in order. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trashing the MD population, far from it. But on that particular Sunday morning, I did call them to account, personal account. At the end of the service, no, I wasn't fired on the spot. I went to the back of the church to greet the Sunday crowd and waited for the access. One of the very men who earlier expressed his discomfort came up to shake my hand. And then, still holding my hand, he said in a loud, clear voice, Reverend Judy, you were right. I really didn't like that sermon. And then he added, but I really needed to hear it. So thank you for being brave enough to give it. It's a conundrum, really. Tribalism, or rather, wanting to belong to something, be part of something, wanting to feel safe and included in the group, the community, the circle, is wonderfully humanly human. We can get so much more done if we work as a team than if we try to do it all on our own. It's when the comfortable circle of fellowship and belonging becomes intractable, rigid, and controlling of thought, word, and deed, that the inclusion becomes ownership. And anything that is not part of the circle becomes suspect. And in some instances, eventually becomes the enemy. And what do you do to enemies? Revile, attack, badmouth, ridicule, dismiss, blame, attack, all the way to abolish and eliminate. Says the article that Rick read. One is not the automatic result of the other, or doesn't have to be. Belonging does not require exclusivity, but it does require self-examination. Christian doctrine does not require anti-Semitism. Being an atheist does not require the atheist to hate and attack the faithful, and vice versa. Some of my best friends are atheists. Inclusivity is a many splendor thing, and it takes work. Stretching the edges of the comfort zone is backbreaking. Anything worth having is worth believing in, worth promoting takes work. takes self-examination and self-awareness. And it takes, most important, knowledge and understanding of the other. That's where the children's story comes in. All you have to do is ask. All you have to do is ask. And even if you don't agree, listen. At least you'll know clearly what you don't agree with. Very good. We kind of assume that everyone here in this church thinks exactly like you. Really, you shouldn't assume anything. That's what I said earlier. We need to lead with an open hand, not a fist, and not close down the minute we hear something new and different. I repeat, we need to lead with an open hand and an open mind. The one we all say we commit to having. Asking real questions, like someone who thinks differently than you. Real questions leading to greater understanding, like the story of the orange. But it's not asking those questions, it's about listening to and hearing, underline, hearing, and hearing the answers. It is hard, but it is what we signed up. Thanks. As a postscript, one of my, I'm on a number of Unitarian Facebook threads, groups, and I'm on one that's UU Women Clergy, and it's a really safe space for all of us. And one of my women clergy just said, I don't know what to do. A recent member, a member got up and joined some concerns, looked around the congregation. He said, I've been here for years, and one of the reasons I'm here is because I know there's no Republicans here and I feel safe. And I was exactly wrong. And she said, how do I handle that? Tune in next time I'm here, I'll tell you. But it's so easy to think we're all alike. And it's so easy to be suspect if someone really wants to say the Lord's Prayer. And I wouldn't preach this sermon exactly this way if you were a different group of people. But you embody this, you really do. I know you do. But it never hurts to examine yourself and that little extra nudge to listen to somebody you absolutely flat out disagree with, which they wish they would disappear down the hall. Find out. I bite my tongue, grit my teeth, and I listen to folks I don't agree with. Even watch TV news that I don't agree with, just so I can understand where people that I don't agree with are coming from. And I'm not perfect, and I don't do it all the time, and I call names sometimes, and I do everything that I'm asking you not to do because I'm human. But the open mind, we are the church of the open mind. We really are. Let's close our service this morning and sing hymn number 160, Far Too Long. Please stand as you're willing and able, and look at those words. We choose these hymns very carefully to go with the message. Far too long by fear divided. Yeah, take your time. Go fast. It's music. It's not a dirge.
Oh,
If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If you have found comfort, go and share it with others. If you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they may be true. And if you've known love, give some back to a bruised and hurting world. Go in peace. And may it be so.
Please recite with me the words now in the order of service. Extinguish the chalice. Be extinguished this flame, but not the light of truth, or the warmth of unity, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I just switched the bed. Hang around and talk about those thoughts that the sermon might have brought up.